So the first thing here I kind of want to talk about is that this video will be a little different from how my normal guides are set up. I usually like to go into detail on how everything works and explain it as if it was the first time someone had ever heard about whatever it was I was talking about. This guide will be geared a bit more towards someone that already understands how the tick system works in RuneScape and is familiar with cooking in general. That being said, it still really is an easy technique to learn, and it's going to help tremendously with finishing off your cooking skill at the higher levels, so don't be put off by any of that. But hey, without any further delay, let's just jump straight into this. So a good place to start off here is to look at the requirements and my personal recommendations for tick cooking. Now the only explicit requirement for using this technique is that you must complete the Taibo Wanai Trio quest. As for my personal recommendations, I suggest you complete the Family Crest quest, have 100% favor with the Hosidius house, and that you have around 80 cooking level. Really, this method can be used at any range or campfire, but obviously being close to a bank is a huge advantage here. It's also better to be somewhere that's less crowded, because if people are running all over the fire or the range, then it can easily mess up your rhythm and your positioning. I'll throw down a list here of cooking areas that have a close spot to the bank for anyone that wants to see where some typical cooking spots might be. As I said before, my recommendation is to go to the Hosidius house kitchen, not only because you have a 5% increased chance of cooking food while using their ranges, but you also can usually find a world that isn't too crowded. Where I actually start setting this up begins on my desktop. The goal here is to get your inventory to be as close to the range on screen as possible. I found that the best way to do this for me is to go into my display settings and change my zoom to 175%. You can see here everything is much closer in-game compared to how I normally have it. Next up, I also go into RuneScape settings and zoom in as much as I can there. These two factors allow my inventory to be almost directly on top of the range, which is tremendously helpful with click accuracy and fatigue during these longer tick cooking sessions. Now for anyone wondering, I just used the regular vanilla RuneScape launcher and I play in resizable mode for the screen setting. So now we're actually going to start cooking. Basically, you'll run up to the range, angle the camera so your inventory is close to the range, and then manually click on each Karambwan while holding the 2 key on your keyboard. Something you'll have to get a feel for on your own is how quickly to click on the Karambwan and on the range to get 1 Karambwan cooked per tick. It really is something that can't be explained, but I want to stress that the objective is not to click as fast as possible. Once you've been at it for a while, you'll tend to get into a natural rhythm, and before you know it, you'll know the speed to be clicking without even realizing it. Honestly, it's as simple as that. There really isn't much to this, and it's by far the best cooking XP in the game right now. I just have a few extra pieces of information I'd like to go over before I end the video. First off, I always use the range that is further away from the bank in the Hosidius kitchen. The other one usually has more players at it, and even if there's no one else there, the NPC always walks in front of it on a cycle, and that can pull you out of your corner when tick cooking. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that you shouldn't wait on using this method just because you're worried about burning the Karambwans. If you're in the Hosidius house kitchen and you have the cooking gauntlets, the Karambwans will stop burning at 93 cooking. I personally started using this method at 90 cooking, but I wish I would have started sooner, maybe around like 80 or something. Whenever you're cooking anything in RuneScape, it takes 4 game ticks. With this method, you're able to cook something every 1 tick, which essentially increases the rate by which you cook food and gain experience by 4. For example, if we do some quick maths, we can equate that the Karambwans you can cook in 4 ticks comes out to be more experience than a single shark that you could cook in the same amount of time when you use this method. I wanted to remind you guys that I actually made a profit while doing this. I think it's crazy that the best way to level a skill can actually still make you money. Now I didn't think to record my final profit, but if we calculate how many Karambwans it would take to get from 90 to 99, and then check the current market prices for cooked and uncooked Karambwans, then you can get a rough estimate of how much money you can get from training this skill. I know this can be a pretty click-intensive way to train the cooking skill, but when you look at the benefits, then it can be well worth it from a profit and an XP point of view. Again, I'm sorry that's a little difficult to explain the timing on the clicks, but it really is something you just have to kind of figure out by yourself. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something new and try this method out for yourselves. Now if you have any burning questions about tick cooking Karambwans or RuneScape in general, then feel free to ask me. I also wanted to say that I'm open to suggestions on guides I should make in the future. Seriously, if just one person suggests literally anything, then I would make a guide on it, provided that I actually know enough about the topic. That's all for now though. I'll see you guys in the next guide, and I hope you have a wonderful day.